this is weird because I've not done a face forward video for a while. But hi, Callie Bear here. Welcome to my channel. Yeah, I've mostly been doing like top down videos for a while, and yeah, I've been getting into the swing of that and trying to figure that stuff out finally. They can definitely be improved, but I feel like they're better than they were, you know, a year ago or 2 years ago, and I feel more comfortable doing them now. So, and it's kind of quicker and easier. I don't know. I feel like they're a bit more like you can just throw them up. I don't know why. It's a bit more of a faff getting all geared up to do filming in OBS, which is the studio that I use, because I've got like a microphone and I've got, you know, plug the camera in and all that stuff, the webcam and things. So it's a bit more of a faff, honestly. On saying that though, I do like set the place, set the scene for the... I try and make it look pretty now. That's what I'm trying to say. Fuck me. I am tired. It's Friday. I've already filmed a video, a top-down video. Incidentally, I think this video will go up before that one because this one feels more like, not time sensitive, but it's just that the tag just went up last night, I think. And as you'll see from the title of this video down there, that it is the, I have to double check, the Tarot 7 Connection hashtag by the lovely Marilyn of Marilyn from Tarot Clarity. And I have spoken about Marilyn many times on this channel because I think she is a wonderful tarot reader who puts lots of really useful and interesting and juicy tarot information out there, especially if you like to read the sort of pip deck, so Tarot de Marseille and the Italian decks and so on and so forth. Lots of juicy information there for you. If you haven't checked her out before, please do go do that. I will link her channel down below for you to do so. So it is just 7 questions. I say just, but I am not well known for my brevity, shall we say. So this could very well be a very long-winded video, or it might be quick, who knows. I'm already starting to feel a little tired. I'm having that like post-lunch sleepy feeling, so we shall see. I do have a glass of water to keep myself hydrated, so I'm just gonna jump straight in. So question 1 is, are there any types of readings you won't do? Why not? I mean the classic ones are not reading about health stuff or legal stuff. I think they're the 2 main ones that people often talk about, and I would say like I kind of am in that camp as well. Don't come to me for legal advice, hire a lawyer. Don't come to me for health advice. I am not a medical practitioner. If someone is looking for ways to maybe navigate, like if someone wants a more sort of psycho-spiritual reading rather than like more like fortune tellery reading, or more, you know, then, and someone's looking for ways that they can support themselves or get through a particularly tough time due to health stuff, then that's, you know, something that I'm happy to do, like actionable steps that they can take to sort of, you know, help with their like mood maybe, or like journaling prompts, that kind of thing. A bit more doable than actual like giving medical advice or, you know, like prognoses or things like that. It's just a massive no-go. I do know some people won't read for a third party, like what is this person doing, and they're like, you know, don't reframe it about yourself, you know, for the querent. Whereas I'm like, let's be honest, people want to know about like, is their boyfriend cheating, or like, you know, so I don't really, yeah, I will read for stuff like that. I don't have those qualms, honestly. I think along with like how witchcraft got really sort of defanged, I think to a certain extent like tarot got defanged and a little like colonized, which sounds like a weird thing to say considering like when we think about the Marseille or like the Italian decks, the Visconti decks, they're like, especially when we're looking at the major arcana, the triumphs, we are looking at a very sort of colonialist, Eurocentric structure and power dynamics and characters, you know, like the emperor, the empress, the pope, and so on and so forth. But we know that there is then a history that goes on where people of lower classes, people that have been marginalized, like the Romani, for example, travelers, it becomes sort of a, especially with the Marseille coming in and the cards being more accessible, cheaper to buy because they're being mass produced to a certain extent, it becomes like a, not just obviously because it started as a card game, but also becomes a way of people sort of getting by. And, you know, fortune telling was and is a thing that people do, and I think that's, a lot of people have tried to sort of distance themselves from that, and I'm really enjoying seeing that being reclaimed both by like marginalized folks and you know, just people like myself that are sort of interested in that side of things as well. So yeah, I wouldn't do all that is to say, yeah, like the health readings is probably one of the biggest ones, because I think that you can get into very dangerous territory because people should be going to see a health professional when it comes to, I know that's difficult, right, because not everyone has access to healthcare, but a tarot reading is not a replacement for that. It can be a supplement with ways that you can navigate that, but not for prognosis or anything. Wow, so I said this might be quick, but maybe not. Question 2. Is there any tarot card you identify with the most? Which is it? And Marilyn has says it doesn't have to be a triumph card, it can be a pip card. So for me, and I've spoken about this a lot, and actually it was one of the sort of kind of questions as part of my 54321 tarot tag about like a card that you might identify with. And I often talk about how I identify a lot with the Page of Wands or the Page of Bâtons, because I feel like I'm always at the beginning of an idea or a journey or a creative journey, but I'm never really, I don't feel like I ever really make headway. I do sort of move to that sort of Knight of Cups, a Knight of Wands sort of energy, and like getting into a hyper focus, and I end up burning myself out, and I would really like to sort of embody the Queen of Wands. That's who I'd like to be, like the Queen of Wands and the High Priestess are like the two that I sort of look up to the most. But it's a journey, right? So I feel like I identify with this, but there's also a supplement to that, and again it's down to sort of a certain amount of like neurodivergence, where I'm noticing, I'm especially lately, due to a number of reasons, I'm very much stuck in the Hanged Man or the Hanged One, because there's a lot of like feeling stuck and unable to move and just sort of having to sit in it, and it's not always necessarily a good thing, especially if we're talking about like the original name or idea of the Hanged One, which could be the traitor, right, where someone is being punished, which is a more sort of classic view of this card. So the occultists made it seem more sort of like you're taking time out and seeing things from a different perspective, and that's all linked to like Odin and stuff like that, and wisdom, and you know, but for me it feels very much like not punishment. I don't feel like I'm being punished, I just feel like I'm sort of stuck, and there isn't necessarily anything to be gained from being stuck. I'm just stuck, and so yeah, that's currently like, this is me, this is because it's flipped in the, this is me most of the time, this is me like a lot of the time, and these two can go hand in hand. So yeah, my brain box and my sort of overall sort of health stuff sort of causes this situation, and it can be very hard to sort of navigate that or get out of that. So that is that question. Question 3. Is there any reading that you have ever done that either gave you the chills or impressed you? Don't betray anyone by name or anyone who's easily identifiable. Keep it anonymous. There's been a number of like really like chills type of, even just thinking about it, chills readings over the years, and I think by the time I'd done this one particular reading, I'd had my deck It would have been, I think it would have been maybe early 2000. So I'd had this deck, my first deck, for about 3 years, I think 3 or 4 years at this point. And I've read for friends, read for family friends. But there was this, and I've mentioned this reading before. I did a reading for someone, this girl that was on my degree course. And I was sitting in the canteen and I was like shuffling my deck or reading the book to my deck or something. I was doing something with my deck, and she was like, oh, do you read the tarot? And I said yes. And she said, could you give me a reading? I didn't know this girl very well at that point. I think we'd only been on our course for a few months. If it was like January or February 2000, I started my degree in like September, October 1999. So yeah, I didn't know her that well, and I gave her this reading, and she didn't want to ask a question from what I remember. If my memory is a little hazy on this, but I think she asked for a general reading, which is, you know, what have you, and I did the reading, and she like kind of burst out crying towards the end. She was like, how did you know? How this is so spooky? And I was like, what? And essentially what I had done with this reading was explain her situation and this decision that she needed to make, and this revelation that had recently happened that she'd been keeping quiet. This was a very private, very like sensitive situation, and I had managed to, not only with these cards, and I say I like the cards came up for her, and at the time the way that I'd get the cards picked was I'd spread them in an arc and get the person, the querent, to pick with their non-dominant hand, pick their cards, the number of cards for the spread, and I was using a spread because I always did back then. And yeah, it really impacted her, and she was kind of like, that's so spooky, because I didn't know her, and even like her best friend didn't know about this current situation that she was contending with, and here's me, like, I don't really know her at all, giving her this reading, and apparently it did help. And as I did get to know her a little bit more, yeah, sort of, that situation ended up resolving itself, thankfully. But yeah, it really gave me the goosebumps, because I was like, you know, if I've read for family and for friends, I'd only sort of really read for people who I knew, you know, and not really for sort of acquaintances or strangers so much by then, because I was very shy, believe it or not, back in the day, super shy. And I was starting to come out of my shell more at my, you know, whilst I was doing my degree. And yeah, it was like, oh. And like I said, I'd already like done quite a, you know, fair number of readings for myself and other people by that point for several years. But it was a real like, oh boy. So that's that one. Okay, question 4. Which is your preferred system of tarot? Pip style, which includes Italian, Tarot di Marseille, or any Pip tarot deck, Thoth, Waite Colman Smith, Continental, or any other, and why do you like this system best? Well, friends, any of you who know my channel and to know me are probably going to be able to guess the system that I like, or the types of decks that I like. I am a Pip girl. I enjoy Tarot di Marseille, I enjoy the Italian decks, I enjoy just sort of random Pip decks that aren't to do with any particular system. I love me a Pip deck. Don't get me wrong, I do enjoy a Smith Waite. I read with them all the time. I've read a little bit of Thoth, but for me, I like the Tarot di Marseille. So I've got a couple of decks to show you. So we've got a couple of Marseilles I'm going to show you. So we have the Jean Noblet. This is the Jean Noblet by Jean-Claude Flournoy, which I believe is still available on his website. And I really like this particular one because it's small, it's on a sort of an off-white to almost sort of cream background. The colours are quite sort of, they're not so garish. Come on, camera. I have not forgotten the annoying camera situation though during these face forward videos. And it's just it's a tidied up Noblet. It's a classic deck. You can get more sort of facsimile versions of this. I would like a more facsimile version of a Noblet. I really like the backs of the deck. It's just a good all-rounder. You can obviously also get modern interpretations of a Marseille. I have many of them in my collection at this point, and I love them. But the one I'm going to show you is the one that I've had most recently, and the one that I've been working with the most recently. And I've been reading the book. I've got one more. I've got to read the suit of coins in the guidebook. Read through that, and I've finished the guidebook. And it's the Gay Marseille by Charlie Claire Burgess. You can now, I think Charlie is doing sort of limited drops on a regular, well, they're going to start doing limited drops on a semi-regular basis of this deck. So if you missed the Kickstarter, you will be able to still get a copy because they're going to be doing that. So, but yeah, this is a really wonderful, and obviously by the name as the name suggests, a very queer rendition, interpretation of the Marseille. I love their Fifth Spirit Tarot. It's one of my all-time favorites, and I love this. I kept saying that this was Sylvia Rivera because I couldn't remember, but it's someone else, and I recognized them from reading up about the Stonewall riots, but I can't remember their name off the top of my head, so that's my bad. But yeah, not Sylvia Rivera, because Sylvia Rivera, yeah. Anyway, allowing myself to get distracted. But yeah, this deck is fun. It's radical. The colours are scrumptious. The artwork is fun. The guidebook, like I said, I've just got to finish reading the suit of coins entries. But I'm really into the guidebook, and I'm not surprised because the guidebook to the Fifth Spirit Tarot, I have the mass market version. I think it'll, small, about a small page of information per card, but really packs a punch. Same with the guidebook for this deck. And I really enjoy the sort of additions that Charlie makes to the card. So here we have the Four of Wands, and we have the paintbrushes and the paint, you see, to sort of imply the realm of creativity with the wands. So yeah, really fun. This is going to end up me being a walkthrough of like loads of decks. And then I enjoy, the Italian deck. So here I have a Soprafino. This is a Lo Scarabeo Soprafino. This is 1830. This is another wee one. I do like my wee decks because I got wee hands. Again, I like this one, I think, because it's got a nice sort of cream background. It's a nice size for me to handle. The artwork's beautiful. The colours are very muted. I do also finally have a Visconti. Finally, I ordered one when in one of my most recent videos I was like, I don't have a Visconti, what the hell. I think it was Cesar's video tag that I did, and I was like, I need to fix this. This is just shocking behaviour, not having a Visconti Sforza deck. So I have remedied that. But yeah, so this is really fun. But then we also get modern interpretations of an Italian deck, and the one that I've pulled out here is the Tarocchi by Mr. Freeborg, which I love. This is gorgeous. I go on and on about the Delft blue backs, but I really love them, and I love that it's they look very sort of elegant and refined, and then you get closer and you're like, there are skulls in there, which tickles me. But this is a stunning deck, and all of the faces are skulls, but it's done in that Italian style. And Soprafino, I believe, is one of the decks that was used as inspiration, along with a number of others, maybe the Vachetta as well. I can't remember. Jens talks about it in the book, the guidebook. But gorgeous. The colours, the rose tones in this deck, and the reds are really sumptuous. Oh, I just love it. So yeah, there's all sorts, and then of course there's just sort of random pippy decks out there as well. But yeah, I love me a pip deck. Why do I like them? I feel they're very liberating. I felt very it felt very freeing to start reading with the Tarot de Marseille with pip decks. It felt so different to learning a Smith-Waite or even a Thoth, it felt less prescriptive. It felt more capacious. It felt more intuitive and fluid. And you know, some people will read only the open style. Some people read TDM with you know, the sort of suit number and symbol sort of as their associations and read it that way. I tend to do a blend of the two, so quite like sort of Yoav Bendov's sort of, he talks about the open reading, but he does also give, you know, some what's the word, correspondences, I guess it would be. So I do a mixture of both, and sometimes there'll be a little bit of like Smith Waite or more sort of occult stuff pulling in, but I do really like the down to earth nature of them. They feel a bit more rough and ready and a bit more down to earth, and I think that comes off the back of wanting, I mean, I really enjoyed seeing Kelly Fitzgerald at the Truth in Story along with Patrick Fogarty, sort of talking about pip cards and bringing them sort of more into my sort of consciousness, and for a lot of us, right? But it was Tom Benjamin talking about them and starting to work with them and doing the Tarot on Earth workbook that really sort of made me really interested, because it was a very different way of approaching, because with Smith Waite, it had always been very sort of psycho-spiritual and very yeah, very esoteric and all that jazz, even though I've never really sort of futzed around with astrology or the Kabbalistic meanings of tarot. There's been a lot of other stuff that I've sort of looked into or read with, you know, symbolism and colour and all that kind of stuff. But it just felt so much more stripped back and just straightforward. And now that I've got that under my belt, I feel like I'm able to bring in other threads of like Smith Waite and Thothi bits and other little bits of occultism here and there where it feels relevant, and also you know, and I do kind of read them a bit differently still, but you know. Anyway, I'm just very aware that I'm trying to do this video a bit more quickly than usual, because I don't know if everyone is really up for listening to me waffle. I'm not always really up for hearing myself fucking waffle, to be honest. Okay, so 5. Do you prefer doing in-person readings, remote, or other types, and why? Now, I'm not a professional reader. I never have been. I used to say I never would read tarot professionally. I've learned in my life to just never say never, because who knows. But I like in-person readings. I don't think I've ever done a video reading, a remote reading. Have I? Maybe I have done a remote reading, like filmed a video for someone and sent it to them. I think I might have done that once, but I can't remember, which is really bad. But yeah, I like in-person readings. It's how I started reading. I don't, you know, even when I was reading for people, it was if friends were coming to my house, then yeah, I'd read at the kitchen table or the dining table or on my bed. I've read for friends on like sitting on my bed and just chilling out, having a girly night in. You know, and that's how I do my readings now. I read when I'm out and about, so I will read, you know, at picnics, for example, at the local PARK. I have to spell it because Dr. Nomi is down there and she'll get so excited if I say the actual word. And or, you know, I've read in like bars and pubs and cafes and on like park benches, like just fucking everywhere. Everywhere, anywhere and everywhere. You have to be a bit more careful being outside. If it's windy, that can be a thing. Or if you're at the PARK and you're laying cards down on a cloth on the grass and you're a certain Dr. Nomi, a certain dog, decides to try and well, I'm giving a reading from my friend Meg last year. She came down to visit from Scotland and I brought my little spread cloth and a deck, and I'm trying to like lay the cards down, and Nomi's like, pay attention to me, and she's like running across the cloth, and then she like laid down and started like rolling on the cards, and I'm like, this is like a lot, dog. So it was very difficult, and I had to sort of be like, let's just carry on with our walk, because we'd already been walking for a bit, and then let's let me just lay these out on a park. Oh, I've just said it, she's just looked up at me, at a PARK bench when we get to the like outside the cafe, which is what we ended up doing because I couldn't, yeah, Nomi was just interfering. So sometimes if I'm trying to do it at picnics, Dr. Nomi is like, doesn't let me. But yeah, I prefer in person. I guess I wouldn't say no to doing readings, video readings, whether those were live video readings. I guess I've done live video readings on my channel for lives, and I've done readings in my videos as demo readings for people to see, but that's different, right? It's not actually giving an actual reading, they're dummy readings. I wouldn't, I'm like Marilyn, I wouldn't want to do it over the phone. That just, I don't like phone calls anyway. Don't call me, texts only, text based, yeah. Or like, I don't mind video call, like Glide, like I don't mind asynchronous or synchronous video chatting. I don't mind that, weirdly. It's just something to do with the phone. I don't fucking know. I just, when the phone starts ringing, I'm like, no, the struggle is real. Okay. Number 6. Besides tarot, are there any other oracular systems you enjoy using? Which ones and why? Yes, many. I use many oracle decks. I use Lenormand. This is the Brown Witch Lenny by Auntie Kay, and it is one of my all-time faves at this point, and I love it. So yeah, I love me a Lenormand. I've not ever tried like Deste or Kipper or I still haven't sort of really made myself au fait with Minchiati, which I know is like an extension of a tarot. But I love this guy and this card. I really love Lenormand. It's even more down to earth than Tarot de Marseille readings. It's like the most nitty gritty, straight up kind of system that I've worked with so far. And then I have also been playing around with, let me just pop that out of the way, playing around with charm and curio casting, which has been something I've been having fun with. And I have just a sample of things. I was getting extra weird with it, so I've got things like, you know, and it was inspired a lot by Monica Badursky's Between the Worlds Oracle. And I'd already had a charm casting set because I built one a couple of years ago. I can't remember when it was, what is time, because I was inspired by like Kelly Fitz at the Truth in Stories charm set, which was, she'd mostly based it off of sort of Lenormand cards and then built it from there. But mine, like, so this was obviously, this one for me is like a messenger, or can stand in for like the letter card in a Lenormand. But I started to get like a bit more weird with it. So I've got like, you know, a bottle cap from a bottle of beer. I've got a little like mini hair comb. I've got, what else have I got? I've got a casino chip. I've got, let's see, I've got a little star anise. I've got a really tiny compass, rather than a compass charm. I like all sorts of things. Oh, this one was inspired by Tom Benjamin's charm casting kit, and Allen key, and what else? There's all sorts, and then there's like loads of charms as well. So I've got things like, oh, there's a Lego character to represent the Querent. Yes, it is it's a Star Wars. A Star Wars Lego figurine. Oh, I started watching The Acolyte. It came out this week. I've been watching that. Let's find some more charm ones. Skull. Crossbones. Lots of skull things. Oh, we got a spider. So yeah, like this is just like a mixture of stuff. There's like a stone, a button. There's all sorts of stuff in here. A little bell. Oh yeah, elastic bands to act as like something to fall over, to encompass charms, to group them together. There's like a little gingerbread person. So it's like a pom-pom, thimble, all sorts of stuff. But yeah, this is really fun either to use on its own. Oh, I've got an itch. Or, sorry, hay fever, hay fever season. Or to cast over cards, which is quite fun. I've done scrying, like with looking, you know, scrying with flames and candle wax and smoke and that kind of thing. And I've also tried a little bit of sort of scrying in what do you call it, like mirror mirror scrying, black mirror scrying, but I would like to have a proper go. I've done a little bit of it, but like a proper go of tasseomancy, also like reading tea leaves, or you know, possibly like coffee grounds. That's one of the things I would like to give a proper go at. And like ink scrying, so like a clear bowl of water and then dropping ink into it and reading the ink. Maybe I've heard Austin Fuller of Blaine X Bramble. He's one half. Sorry, my nose is itching now. One half of the Southern Bramble podcast. He's spoken about that and making magical inks and using inks for scrying, and that all sounds very fun. Anyway, that was a very long-winded answer. Meow, meow, meow. And then the final question is, what solidified your connection with tarot? That's an interesting question. I still don't quite know how to answer it. I feel like there were 3 or 4 points that have sort of solidified and re-solidified or reignited my relationship with tarot. So the first time was getting home with my Osho Zen tarot. I was shuffling this. This is the, you know, when I was actually, I've meant to show, this was the card, this was the deck that I did the reading that gave me chills with, I've since trimmed it because I didn't like having those keywords, because some of them I found sort of problematic. Let's find some of the prettier, so many like gnarly cards in this, but actually there's some really beautiful cards in this as well. And just doing like, it was fine doing readings for myself, but the first time I did readings for like friends and family friends, and seeing like how uncanny that it was, I was like, oh, there's something, there might be something here actually. Like, it felt very magical. So that was a real, like, it got me like working with it. I guess that reading that I did, which was real, like doing that reading for someone I didn't really know, and it being so on point, really sort of gave me, you know, that was several years later after actually getting the deck. That was a moment. I feel like that I fell away from tarot for a chunk of my 20s, and discovering Kellyanne Maddox, who was known as the Four Queens. Her channel was Four Queens back then. It must have been about 2012, and finding her channel felt like a moment in time, like in an important pivotal point, because I remembered that I had my tarot decks. I had like about 3 tarot decks in the attic, and I hadn't gotten rid of them. I'd hung on to them along with a bunch. I'd gotten rid of so much stuff and so much witchy stuff and witchy books, but I hung on to these tarot decks, and I went and I dusted them off, got them out of the attic, dusted them off, and like that was another, like, just doing like Kellyanne Maddox's like trainee tarot course. That was a moment, sort of re-establishing a relationship with the tarot after having a break for several years. And then I would say getting, I wanted to sort of become au fait with the Smith-Waite system, and I didn't have a classic Rider-Waite-Smith deck. I'd had the Shaman Caselli tarot, which is like a redrawing of Pamela's work, but I'd never really liked it, and I'd bought it and gifted it away several times because people kept saying, oh, I really want to learn the tarot, and because I wasn't super attached to it, I'd go, here, take this tarot kit. It was like the beginner's tarot kit, and then I would rebuy it because I still wanted like a Smith-Waite, and I should have just bought like an actual Smith-Waite, but I got the Centennial Smith-Waite, and I also got the Tarot of the Magical Forest, which is basically the Smith-Waite but make it cute animals. And it was making sure, because I had learnt on the Osho Zen Tarot, and because you know, I'd had the Shaman Caselli, I'd had the Canon Reed Witches Tarot, but not, you know, not a classic tarot, not a classic sort of Smith-Waite based tarot or Smith-Waite tarot. And I just wanted to like knuckle down. So these two were like re-established my relationship with the tarot, because I suddenly felt more confident, because you know, I realized after people heard that, or I discovered that there were like the Smith-Waite and the Tarot de Marseille, and there's the Thoth. When I got this deck, I didn't know about any of that, and I felt like I know it's silly, but I felt like I couldn't really call myself a proper tarot reader, and this is just me, like I ultimately I don't believe this, but at the time I was like, I feel like I need to know this to be able to be a better tarot reader, right? And you know, that's just, I don't necessarily think that that's the case anymore. But what it did do, learning the Smith-Waite system and sort of hammering it into my brain, I realized I could see where it had been drawn on for the creation of the Osho Zen Tarot. I could see the influences, so it helped me in that. And then I'd say there's the final thing that solidified my relationship with the tarot was picking up a Marseille and starting to learn the Marseille tarot system, or a pip, or whatever you want to call it, and just being like, wow, I've now been reading tarot on and off by the point that I got of my first Marseille, by it for like 20 years. And I'm still being blown away by how much you can learn with the tarot and how it can feel fresh and new all over again. And it was such a pivotal point, it was such a turning point for me, because as I've said earlier in this video, like, it's now my preferred system. And it was, I never thought that would be the case. I was like, I'll give it a go, it looks fun. Not realizing the love affair that would ensue, and just how much it would shift my perspective on the tarot. And like, just even thinking about it, like, I can't stop smiling, because it's just, I just love it so much. I really just love it so much. And that just sort of really, like, I just felt an even closer connection. Actually learning you know, and it was weird, because for a while I felt really disconnected from Smith-Waite decks and felt like I couldn't read Smith-Waite because I was so entrenched in Marseille. And then I started for a while reading with Smith-Waite a bit more, like towards the second or half or second or the final third of last year, and towards the beginning of this year, where I felt like I was sort of losing a little bit of my connection with the Marseille. And so I've been sort of re-establishing that, and I'm like, no, it's still there. And yeah, I feel like that connection gets constantly tested and reinvigorated and sort of strained. And I don't know, I feel like there's not one particular moment in time that solidified or cemented my relationship or my connection to the tarot. It's just this ongoing relationship. There's so much to learn. And you know, I often talk about how I'm not so interested in a lot of the super occult side of it, but that's all sitting there waiting should I wish to. There's so much to learn. I've still like touched about this much of like what there is to learn about the Thoth tarot, and you know, I still don't know all there is to know about Smith-Waite or the Marseille or any other like random deck where a creator's made kind of their own system or interpretation. It's just sort of never ending, unfolding, capacious like system. And it's my favorite because it's tactile, it's visual, it's fun, it's artistic, it's adaptable. It's just, I love it. I love it. I love it. Anyway, this is just me harping on about how much I love tarot at this point, so I'm going to leave it there. That was the 7th question. Do I tag anyone on this? I know that Marilyn tagged a couple of people. I guess that's kind of also the nature of a tag, is that you like tag, you're it. So let's tag a couple of people. I'll tag Imogen of Sapling Tarot. I will tag Simon at the Hermit's Cave. And I will tag Auntie K, Krista at Auntie K's Tarot. So maybe one more. Should I tag one more? I don't want to give people, I don't want to like tag people if they don't want to do the tag. Let's tag Sylvie over at Tarot Magpie, because Sylvie does quite a few tags as well. There's so many people I could tag. There's the 4. Okay, right. So yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you so much for listening to / watching me waffle on about one of my favourite topics in the world ever. I appreciate you taking time out of your day to do that. That's really cool. Comments, thoughts in the description. Not in the. I always say in the description box. I can write in the description box. You guys can't. In the comments section is what I mean. Thoughts, ideas. If you don't have a channel and you want to answer some of the questions in the comments, feel free to do that. Let's have a chat. And yeah, I hope that wherever you are watching this video, that you are safe and you are well. and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.